What am I looking at when I'm buying properties? So this is really, really important. And I'm just wondering, actually, do we put some examples on from Rightmove? Let me just bring Rightmove up. Yeah, let's do it. Let's do it live. I like looking at Rightmove. I do. I enjoy it. It's one of my little pleasures in life. Let's have a look at Leeds, West Yorkshire, for sale. And let's bring it over. And then I'm just going to share my screen again. Where are we? Second screen. Here we go. Okay, let's have a look, and we'll make the screen bigger. It's a nice looking house, isn't it? LSA, not the best of locations, but 475 is a lot. Still got some very nice houses here. 2.95 million in Leeds, 7 bed, looks very nice. Let's go down to lowest price because we're not quite there yet for those bigger ones. And also, we're just going to put in some filters here. Don't show new home, buying schemes, or retirement homes. We don't want those, so let's get rid of them. And also, right at the bottom end here, we're looking at a lot of auction type properties, and we don't really want auction properties. I have bought at an auction, but I'm not fussed about auctions, in all honesty. I like to know, what are my numbers? And I like to work out what my numbers are. And I would rather, if my numbers work at 40 grand, I'm happy paying 40 grand. I don't need to pay 30 grand at an auction and then find them competing with 20 other people that haven't got a clue. Because then invariably what happens is at an auction, it gets sold for 50 and it's not worth 50. So I'm not over keen on auction stuff, but let's just get rid of auctions. I'm just going to give you a couple of different examples here. So we're going to look at 3 beds. And the whole point of this, by the way, to give you an insight as to how my brain works, because I think you might either be horrified by that, as I am often, or you might actually go, "Oh, I get it now." Okay, this one's an online auction, 69 grand. We want to stay away. Look at all these auctions. You got to scroll through a lot of these. I think we looked at this one a couple of days ago, 90 grand. We were talking about converting that into 2 one-bed flats, but that would work. Let's also go for property types, and let's have a look at semi-detached and detached. There's something I'm going to focus on in a minute. One of the reasons why I wanted to do this. So this one here, it's a guide price. Let's get off auctions, not that one. That one there, public notice, we don't want those. Chain 3, Middleton, that's all right. Let's have a look at this one. 140 grand on a 3-bed semi. It's unbelievable how much prices have actually gone up. The first thing that I would absolutely do on this is remove that horrendous cladding. It just looks horrible. But let's just have a look at the back, because there's something I want to show you. Oh my goodness me. So I think this property is really high priced. I mean, I'm not a hugely knowledgeable about LS10 and Middleton. I know it's not a place I personally want to live. 140 grand seems overpriced, but look at the state of the inside. So obviously this is a refurb. The electrics will need doing, more than likely. The pipe work will need doing, more than likely, because it'll have lead piping. Unless you like living in the 70s, you might want to keep that. I don't know, but not for me. But there's some opportunities here to actually extend it and make it all open plan, and then have an extension on the back. I mean, obviously, it looks like an older person's home. I'm not sure how old they are, actually. Look at that fireplace. I've actually got one of those fireplaces in one of mine. That's the back. So this is the thing that I wanted to get to here. In order to make properties more attractive, and I've done this on a number of occasions, and it's one of my little secrets, I actually put a swing set in the back. So I put a swing and a slide set in the back. And the reason why I do that is 2 reasons. Either if I'm renting it, guess what type of tenant I'm going to get if it's a 3-bed house with a swing and a slide set in the backyard? It's a family, right? How long do you think families are going to stay in one place for? What do families actually want? They want a consistency of location. They don't want to be having to move around. It's one of the things that scares me now. We live in a rented accommodation here in Spain. We thought about buying it, but then it keeps getting flooded out. So we're like, right, we're not going to buy this damn place. We'll keep living here as long as we can, but we're not going to buy it. And I'm like to the wife, why are we buying the place that we live in? We should be renting. I have that belief system. But our little one, she's 7 now. We've been here 7 years. If we get another 7 years out of this place, I'm well happy. If we can live here till we're 18, she's 18, wicked, and then we're travelling the world. We're off to Bali for 6 months of a year and so on. But I have the same concerns and issues about longevity or being in the same place for your little ones for as long as you possibly can. And so if we want to put rents up, yeah, we'll put rents up. That's fine. We'll pay it. It's not a problem. And I think that most of our tenants would also do the same. So when you familyfy a property, you've given yourself the opportunity to have the people stay there as long as possible. Because there's two things that annoy landlords. One is voids. Quite a few things annoy landlords. Voids, non-paying tenants. Do you think the family who wants to stay there a long time aren't going to pay rent? Of course not. They're going to pay the rent. Voids, we avoid voids. Maintenance is just part of the game. You can't avoid them really. But putting a swing set in the back there, we'd jet wash that back. We'd remove the cladding, which is horrendous. We'd remove that door. Like, we'd keep the door, but we'd put a V-shaped thing at the back, and we'd do the same at the front. Let's just go back to the front. Yeah, look at that, you see. We would replace that and make that more attractive. Because this is ex-council, by the way. And so you want to make it look not like it's ex-council. So these are some of the things that we'll talk about. Now, we're going to cover some of the things that we're looking for. But obviously, this is a refurb. The lounge is fine. It probably just needs a refurb. That vestibule where the front door is, I don't know what's going on there. We might look at changing that. The garden's fine. Might have a bit more privacy at the back. I'm a bugger for privacy. That's all fine. In fact, you might even replace that bit of grass and put some more driveways in there. Because if you're going to convert this over to a HMO, for example, you want more driveways. If that's what you're doing, you might just be refurbing it. Depends what you're buying it for. I'd definitely keep those pink tiles and that pink suite. That's a joke, by the way. And the swirly carpet. Like I like the 70s. So that needs to be changed. And those tiling on the roof, I remember those in my grand's house. So it's a very 1970s style, but that's all right. This is somebody's house and it's their style, and that's fine. Everybody's different, I guess. The wallpaper would need to come off because that looks like the wood chip type. So on that one, you see, depends what you're buying it for. And I was hoping for a top-down view, because what I would actually do is I would open plan it. So I would open up the kitchen and the lounge and make it all one through. And then what I would do at the back is I would actually extend the back anyway, a little bit. Just depends. If I'm going to HMO that, I'm extending at the back, just to create more space and potentially more bedrooms. So what are we looking for? Let's look at the numbers. 139. Let's pull up a calculator. 139. Oh, before we do that, let's have a look at Rightmove again. Where is this? It's LS10, isn't it? So let me just pull this over again, over to here. Let me open up another Rightmove thing. I just want to look at rents, LS10, because what we want to do is to see whether this house is going to be a suitable property to buy in order to rent out. We want to look at some of the comparables. So let me pull that back over. Where did that Rightmove go? I dropped it in somewhere. That's it there. Where is it? That one there. Okay, so let's just have a look at these. So what I want to look at is I want to look at 3 beds for rent, because you want to see is the property that's being sold and the property that are available for rent, how does that match each other? And so that's really what we're looking for there. So we're going to go lowest price, 3 beds. So these are house shares as well. So 275 and a house share on a 4-bed house. I'm just wondering if it is actually a 4-bed or whether they've turned the 4-bed into a 5-bed, which they may well have done. But 275 a month sounds very cheap, by the way. Times 4. Whoops. 275 times 4 times 12. It's 13,200. So if we divide that by 140 grand, which is the price of the other house, that's a 9.4% yield. So this one here, if you didn't touch it and you just rented it as is, that's your yield effectively. But I reckon if you refurb this, obviously it needs a complete refurb, so you're going to be spending £10,000-20,000 on that. Maybe 10. New kitchen, new bathroom, 10 to 15. Obviously prices have gone up recently for everything. But still, that would work as a HMO. That would work quite well. Let's move off HMOs. We've got a mid-terrace, 695. So it's probably not equivalent to this type of house. But this one here probably is. Modern decor throughout, 795. Another house is slightly more modern. At 795, I would suggest is what this one would go for. Now that as a yield, 795 times 12, divided by 140, 6.8. I don't think that's a good enough yield for me. We like to get 7.5-8% yields where possible. And also, you've got to do some work. So this is one of the things that you need to be aware of. And I saw this in a magazine once, and I was just pulling my hair out because it was driving me insane. And it was an example of what a property investor was doing that was a really great way of buying properties and being an investor. And this is what they did. They'd buy a house like this, and they'd have, a 20% deposit, and they were spending on this other house it was, but let's just do this one. They were spending £20,000 on the house, okay? So let's work out 140 grand, £28,000 deposit, plus another 20 grand to do it up. £48,000 was what they were investing, and they were getting an £800 a month rent. And that doesn't add up to me. So let's do the numbers. Minus 20%. So 112 times, let's do 4%. And I know that's not what interest rates are right now, but interest rates will go back up to that. We've had a historically low set of interest rates, and it bothers me that people think this is normal. It's not normal. If you're calculating at 2%, 3%, you're going to get hit when the interest rates go up. We've got inflation on its way, folks. Interest rates solves inflation, believe it or not. So interest rates have to go up at some point. Anyway, 4,480 divided by 12 is 373. 795 minus 373 is 420. Call it £400 a month because you've got insurance, times 12. So you're getting, actually it doesn't work out too bad, but £40,000 divided by 4,800 is an 8.3% return on investment. It's not too bad. Obviously you've got stamp duty that we've not included, you've got solicitors' fees that you have to include as well. So on that total investment, it's too much up front for not enough return. And so this couple in this magazine, they were spending all this money doing this property up, and they were overpaying on their mortgage. And what they said was, yeah, but in 10 years' time, this will wash its face. And it's like, no, what are you on about? This property needs to wash its face now, on completion. We've completed on a property, one of the fastest properties we ever bought. We've done two. We did one in 7 days, and I think we did one in 11 days. The one that we did in 11 days was a city centre flat in Leeds city centre that was on at like 165, 170. We put an offer in of 138,500, something ridiculous. We completed at 141,500, and we were biting their hand off because it was a great deal. And it had been empty for 2 years. Anyway, we got keys, and we were desperate for keys because we'd rented it. And the owners that we spoke to were like, how have you rented it? It was empty on the market for ages. And they'd used a city centre company to do the rentals. And it's like, that's because you use them and they're not very good. They shall stay unnamed. It's so tempting to name these people. But it's like, no, we've rented it. We need the keys because we got tenants moving in, that day was Friday. We got tenants moving in Monday, so we got to go in, put furniture in, get it rented. We rented it sight unseen, just from photographs that we took while we were going around initially, and that we took off the website. So, we don't mess around. We're not doing a refurb for 6 months just to get £800 a month. We might do a refurb for 6 months to make £20,000 or £30,000 on a flip. We might do that, but we're not doing it to rent out. And now, everything that I'm saying here is not financial advice. And also, don't forget that I'm a cash flow investor. I used to flip. I don't flip anymore. And in fact, one of my biggest regrets, let me just grab a quick drink. One of my biggest regrets, and by the way, I've got a few, was a city centre apartment in Leeds city centre. I bought it for 84. We sold it for 95. I made 11 grand on it. I so regret selling that property now. If this was 10 or 15 years ago, we would have had that property, and we made good returns on that. But we would have had that property. And actually, I just got back from Leeds and I stayed in one of the hotels. I would love to have stayed in that little studio property. Big screen TV, Xbox, fridge full of wine. Happy days. So I kind of regret selling some of the stuff that we used to flip now. When I look back 23 years in the game, it's like, I should have held on to some more stuff. So this, for me, might make a great flip. If you're going to convert it to HMO, as long as it's not in an Article 4 area, it'd probably make a decent HMO. But it wouldn't, for me, make a great let. Not around 795. The yield's not high enough. And it also needs too much work up front. Is that making sense? Give me a yeehaw if it does, by the way. Let's go and have a look at some of the others. Just to have a look. Is that 100? Oh, it's public notice. You see, interestingly, a lot of these, they're too expensive for me right now. 140 grand, all 3 beds, 140. I mean, that's crazy. Not even in the right areas. Let's have a look at Leeds 16. I like Leeds 16, by the way. And I like Leeds 16 because some of those areas in Leeds 16 are nice and we've had good capital growth. I mean, 390, that's got to be a typo. It can't be 319. I reckon that's 139, by the way. That has to be 139. Let's have a look at it. We'll have a look at it in a second. There is no way is that 319. No wonder it's going to an auction. I don't care how sought after that is in LS16. Let's have a look. It's quite fun doing these. I quite enjoy these anyway. I like looking at houses. I miss looking at houses. And what is that fireplace doing there? No wonder it's not selling. Like, knock that down and put the fireplace back where it is. That's not even a proper fire. I reckon that's an electric fire. So you can literally snip it, move it, plug it in, and off you go. And I don't know if that's a central chimney breast, but that's not good. There you go. 3 bed, 1 bath. Kitchen's okay. It looks like it's been refurbed. And if it has been refurbed, who's done that with the fireplace? I would not be buying that house. It's just a little bit bizarre. New carpets. I mean, the work's been done to a reasonable level, I was about to say, but look at these wallpaper things here. Like, you want to know what annoys me? Like, we can't really zoom in on that, which is a bit of a shame, but I don't know what they've done on some of this work. Like, in the past one, I've said it doesn't look too bad, but actually, I think the quality of the work could be better than it currently is. Outside's okay. It's got to be a typo on that 319. Useless bit of garden. Zero usage for that garden. All that's going to happen with that garden is going to get overgrown. I know this, by the way, because I've got a huge garden on one of mine. We just fenced it off and let the thing overgrow. There's probably aliens living in it and species from another world living in that. But that's clearly not accurate. And it's a shame because that's actually been refurbed. But that would... you'd have problems renting that because the fireplace is in such a stupid place. This is just to show right now, if you're thinking about buying property, everything that we've spoken about sourcing property is what you should be doing. You should not be looking on Rightmove, he says looking on Rightmove, looking for properties to purchase because it is way overpriced. I mean, 3 bed detached for 275 is ridiculous. I've got one around there, around that area that I bought for 142 maybe 10 years ago. And I would say on a good day it's worth 210. Looking at these, it's clearly worth more. Just bizarre. Even Iverson Crescent, by the way, again, it looks ex-council. Council houses and there's nothing wrong with ex-council, In London, there's nothing wrong with ex-council. Because London is such a strong conurbation with so many properties stuck so closely together. Up in Leeds, it means it's a council estate, and so you have different types of people living in there. It's not where I would live, that's for sure. And I actually own 0 council properties. I think I might own 2 flats, actually, in one 3 bed semi. But anyway, look at that. I think that if you're, it's an attractive interior. I think if you're thinking about buying properties and you are looking on Rightmove, you're gonna become unstuck. You're gonna have to find a way. I mean, it actually needs quite a bit of work. It needs a new kitchen, unless you like that kind of thing. I'm not sure what the yellow is about. The bathroom needs redoing. It's a very 1980s house, and the carpets are from 1980s. Remember those carpets? And all the walls need stripping, and the ceiling needs... It's all got Artex on, which is, very 1970s. Wowzers. So, it's all very overpriced right now. What I'm looking for when I'm buying houses is that it's got to stack up. The numbers have to stack. The yields have to stack. And I think right now, if you're going to be buying, and if you are going to be buying from somewhere like Rightmove, what you've got to be doing is you've got to be looking for stuff that you can add value to. And when I say add value, I mean split, like title split. If you can buy yourself a big... Let's have a look at some much bigger houses. Let's go 5-bed and see what happens. And let's go Leeds. But let's also go quarter mile around. Let me just make sure I can actually do this properly. Leeds, district of. And let's just see. So there's not too many, but lowest price, 250, 5-bed semi. Like this one here, it's a guide price, and I know it's a guide price, so it means it's going to an auction. But something like that, and it's on York Road, by the way. And I have a couple on York Road, as it happens. Now, interestingly, this one has already been done. A nice little beamer sat out front. I'm guessing that's not the estate agents, by the way, because if you look underneath, that car's been left there before the rain. So I'm guessing that that's not the estate agents, that'll be the homeowners. And then as we go inside, it's clearly been refurbed. Yeah, what I'm looking for here is shampoo bottles and that kind of thing. It looks like someone's been living in there, so they refurbed it as they went along. Yes, definitely people living in there. And it's already been extended, so they've bought this. If you look at next door and the one next door to that, they've bought this and they've done it up considerably. They've added what would you call that, a dormer attic, I guess you'd call that, and then they've increased the backyard and made it quite nice, and then they've ruined it with bright yellow paint inside. But anyway, that looks very nice. Shame it's in England, isn't it? A nice house in the wrong area, I would suggest. Let's go back. But what you're looking for is something big enough to be able to change and to be able to split into maybe 2 or 3 different apartments. Something like this, a LS6. It's rented at £26,000 per year. So that's not too bad. It's about, an 8% on a HMO? It's not too bad, I suppose. I know the first one was about 8%, wasn't it? But really, you're looking for... Everything is so highly priced. This one here, 395, 6-bed in Oakwood. That might be a winner, by the way. So Oakwood is nice. And also, this house, look at the outside. It's got paint peeling off. The garden is overgrown. I'm wondering if that window's been left open for people because there's nobody living in it, and so it's just to let air through. It's got an upstairs, but I'm expecting that this one actually needs a bit of work doing to it, and it's old. And look at the tiling, definitely old. Look at the boiler. Look at the cupboards. It's definitely an old flat, property, so it needs refurbing. So this one would actually make an interesting refurb. There's no top on the cistern there. So this one would actually make a good one. So what you would do with this one, like the backyard hasn't been used. There's an indoor table outside, and there's a tiny little barbecue. But you could use that, repaint it, put some potted plants in there and so on. That needs doing up. Now, if you could get planning permission on that, you could extend it to the rear, and that would make a great HMO. Or we've not seen the plan, But that could make a good one to title split into separate flats. And then you own the freehold, and then you've got maybe 2 or 3 separate units in that little place. Something like that. You're going to have to add value right now. That's the only thing that you can do in today's market, because the market's crazy. It's just absolutely crazy right now. So I hope that gives you a bit of an insight and an idea as to what I'm looking for, what I'm not looking for, and everything's different. But one of the best things about property is that you have so many different ways of doing property, so many different ways of making money and transforming a property into something else. Or is it long term? Is it a flip? Are you going to title split? Are you going to rent to rent? Are you going to HMO? Are you going to convert into separate flats? All these different ways of doing it. And that's one of the reasons why I love being in property. And at different periods in your career, you might use different properties for different things. The 3-bed that's up in LS16, we might actually split that into an upstairs apartment and a downstairs apartment. Because depending what they're going for right now, let's just go and have a quick look. LS16. And let's have a look at 1-bed flats. Because that's Alexa trying to talk to me. Let's have a look at flats. We might actually get a better return on 1-bed flats. LS16, West Park, 105. Yeah, you're probably talking about the 110-ish, because it's nicer than that one. 110, 115, so it probably doesn't quite stack up to do that. But we'll wait another couple of years and see where it is. And maybe we'll wait a couple of years and nothing can change, and it's just worth 230 or whatever without doing anything to it. But this is the beauty of property, is that it can change depending on whatever it happens to be that you want to do. So look, I hope that's useful for you, a bit of an insight into how we actually do things. Let me know in the box down below, and we'll speak to you on the next video. Until tomorrow, my name's Dan Latto. Take care.